An infinite flame, a bird who still chirps hello from thousands of years ago, an overflowing abundance that takes hold when I remember you, an open window inside my heart where you should be. What I really want people to feel when they're in this space is a peaceful sanctuary and the feeling of unconditional love. I'm Victoria Ahmadizadeh Melendez. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm originally from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm an artist working primarily in blown glass and neon, which I fabricate myself. I'm also a writer who writes poetry and prose, and I try to integrate this into my artistic practice as much as possible. Being born to immigrant parents and raised in the United States, I was largely separated from my family and culture in both Iran and Puerto Rico. I've been really enjoying learning more about my family, my culture, and our cultural traditions. The new piece I'm making for the Speed Art Museum is the experience I had of meeting my Aunt Nahid for the first time, and the feeling of unconditional love I felt poured over me because I sort of expected us to act like strangers because she was not able to come to the United States my whole entire life, and I wasn't able to go to Iran where she is. But when she came, she was just so thrilled to see me in person and just showered me in unconditional love. And I've been thinking a lot about a house that my grandfather built. It's out in Iran. The ceiling had all of these really ornate carved patterns. On one of the walls in like an arc-shaped alcove, there was this really beautiful mirror mosaic that he had done. And one of the neon pieces is a translation or version of that mirror mosaic and archway. I never knew that my grandfather was creative or worked with his hands in that sort of like particular way. And I think there is such a strong connection to what I do that I was like, oh my God, that's where it comes from. Another idea I've talked about a lot in my work is the light in my work representing the eternal light of the soul, and a light that everyone has inside of themselves that can't be extinguished by anything. Those ideas are present in this work as well. You know, I learned about a lot of different ways to work with glass. So it started out with like really traditional blowing soft glass out of the furnace in the hot shop, cold work glass and engraved glass. I worked at a stained glass restoration. All of those things came first before I ever did neon. I received a scholarship from Pilchuck Glass School, and as my first choice, I put down a neon class. Really got hooked in that area, but it also was the first time that I was making work where I was combining blown glass and neon components to make a single sculpture. The process of taking a glass tube and bending it into a word or complex shape, super challenging and a bit of a puzzle to solve. And I think that those things really keep me engaged. I think of it as a really interesting way of drawing, like drawing with light. You know, things do sort of return in life. You know, they come back around, and I've gotten a lot more into my drawing practice with this body of work and as my neon pieces become more intricate. So this was actually my initial proposal for them. These branches did come from a photo of a carpet I took. Eventually, I got to the idea of this vine of flowers pouring out of the spout. I'm thinking about this room in Iran that I can't go to. It's almost like a place where I could access my version of it. I think some of the designs feel very portal-like to me. You know, it's not just about having talent or a moment of inspiration. It's not just about feeling inspired or going to the studio and making something or sitting down and writing something because you want to. You also have to show up and do it when you don't want to, so the inspiration can appear. You know, like you have to sort of be in that space to encounter some of those more like magical or spiritual moments. There's the me that goes to the studio and makes glass things in this really particular way. And there's the me that's drawing in my sketchbook and coming up with these ideas. And then there's the me that is a poet and gets to like sit quietly and like read and write, you know? And I think like part of maturing as an artist has been accepting that and not being self-conscious or like insecure about it. Mystery is part of the spirituality of art. This notion that I'm working with is that I want the viewer to fill in the space, the distance between what is seen and what is written. It's part of the point where you, as a viewer, look at something, it's like you're reaching to each other and you're meeting each other halfway.